Okay, 95 S10. I'm getting ready to pull the rotors, calipers, and I'm going to pull actually the spindle with the hub and the wheel bearings. I'm going to pull this whole thing off. Starting with 36 millimeter, and then we got 3/8 Allen wrench for the caliper, and then we got 9/16 for the brake line, and 13 for the brake cable, 13 for the brake cable up there, and that'll take completely out right there. Okay, on this one, it's a 13 millimeter inside and outside. It's a nut and a bolt, and so if you just loosen up the outside, the inside's going to spin. You'll sit there and spin it forever unless you put something on the inside and hold the inside of it, and then that will come off, and that's what's holding this hanger for your brake line. Okay, so you take that off. That's a 13 millimeter up here, and there's a little clip that goes around here and around there. It goes around here and around the top of it, and it holds it into the little hanger here. Holds it into the little hanger here. And I just take a screwdriver and stick it in the opening there and pop it off. It just pops right off. And then this is going to be your ABS sensor. So you're going to want to unhook it also. It's got it's like a grommet that holds it in place up there. Take a flathead screwdriver and it'll pop right out. So here we are on this. You're going to want to pull these bolts completely out to get that caliper off. See, because they thread into the little holes here. I don't know if you can see it, but they thread into those holes. And so you pull that completely out, there will be a little spacer inside the caliper there. But if you're changing brake pads, don't lose this. Do not lose this, because you'll have problems, major problems, if you lose this. But pull the two bolts completely out from here and here, and then if you take a screwdriver and stick it in the hole there and get it into the slot of the rotor, you can pry it and it'll push the caliper back inside, and it'll make it a lot easier to get that caliper off. It'll push the plunger back in and make it a lot easier to get off. So we got that off. Caliper's off. Now I'm going to remove the rotor. It'll pop right off. Bam, that's off. And then I'll be able to get busy with the cotter pins. That cotter pin, there's one down here, cotter pin, and then there's cotter pin. Can you see it? Cotter pin here, and you want to pull all those the castle nuts. They're castle nuts. You want to pull all three of those off, and I'll show you how to get it after that. Sometimes this 36 on here is pretty tough to get off. So a thing that I've learned to do with these is, if it's too tight and you can't get it loose, what I'll do is I'll put the wheel back on. Put the weight of the vehicle on the wheel. Block it or whatever you have to do to keep it from rolling. Have somebody hold the brake if you haven't taken everything else apart. And put a breaker bar on it, and with the wheel on, it gives you a lot better chance of not spinning the hub, because you got the weight of the vehicle to keep it from moving, and usually it'll come off with the wheel. The wheel with a breaker bar, sometimes you might have to use a cheater bar with the breaker bar. If you buy your tools at Harbor Freight, if you break it, take it back, no big deal. Yeah, but put the wheel on keep that from spinning. That's the easiest way I found to keep from spinning that wheel, that hub, when you're trying to get that 36 millimeter off, is use the wheel and block it, whatever you have to do. Okay, so sprayed it down, put the wheel on, got a brick under it. So now what I do is I'll kick that brick under there like that, and it'll hold it, and apply some pressure. Wow, that's not moving. Okay, now if that don't work, I got my torch, and I'll heat it up. Heat up the bolt, not the nut, but the bolt. Heat that bolt up real nice, and try it again. If it don't work with the cheater bar. Wow, this one is extremely stubborn. I just shattered a brick trying to get this thing off of here. I tried it with the cheater bar, heated it up, heated the nut, heated the bolt, sprayed it with some more PB blaster, tried to loosen it. This thing is stuck. Got him. Okay, what I ended up doing was I took the nut from the other side, because I got two nuts, and I put it on like I showed you on the differential, so that the nut was pretty much flush at the end of the bolt, and I smacked it a few times with the hammer. Smacked it a few times real good with the hammer. Then I took that nut off, then I tightened the inside nut that was already on there, tightened it a little bit just to get it moving, see if I can get it to move, and then loosened it up, and it came right off. So okay, secret to getting these off, the tie rod ends, is if you have something to pull up on the tie rod and you smack it with the hammer like right about there, it'll pop right out. Yeah, that sometimes works on the upper ball joints also, on the ball joints and everything else too. If you just hit it hard enough right in this area with pressure pulling up on it. If you just hit it, it ain't gonna do nothing. You got to have something pulling up on it, so when you hit it with that hammer and it pop and it does whatever it does, pops loose, it'll pull it right out.